ditch somewhere. So if you guys can, when we get to certain areas, I'll let you know, and I'll get you to start looking. And normally what I say, those on the right look right, and those on the left look left. And what we're looking for is often it's initially movement. So the bears will often be on all fours, nose to the ground because they're foraging. And so it'll be a moving bush, a moving tree, or just that movement of the black back of the bear. So if you do see something, don't be shy once again. Yell bear or stop or whoa or wait or whatever it is, and I'll make sure we take a look. And hopefully it's a bear, and if it's not, if it's a stump, then we'll admire the stump, maybe take a couple of pictures, and we'll move on to search for the bears. So I'm going to take you guys back to a valley called Cheakamus Valley. That's where I last saw the bears today, and where we should see them tonight. And we should have a good evening for bear hunting because it's cooler, and the bears like that. As you can imagine, they have these big, thick black fur coats, and if they're in the hot sunshine, they get very hot. They overheat. So when it gets really warm, they like to retire into cool, dark spots. But they'll be out right now. They'll be eating like mad, which is a good thing. So I've got my fingers crossed, got my lucky socks on, and I think we should have some good fun here seeing some bears. So I should tell you guys that BC has a few black bears. So we have approximately 130 to 150,000 black bears in BC. So our odds of seeing a bear is good. That amount of bears equates to roughly 25% of all black bears worldwide. So yeah, our odds are really good. And within our valley here, we've got hundreds of black bears that live in our valley. So the nice thing about the bears is that they don't fear us. Right? They don't see us as a threat. And that's good for us because when we see a bear or we're viewing a bear, they'll often look up, see a bunch of humans in a car, and they go, oh, no threat. And so they just keep on doing what they're doing, which is, of course, eating. They need to eat a lot. We'll talk about that in a moment. The other nice thing about the black bears is that they don't view us as a source of protein. So, they're not looking at us as being on their dinner menu, and that's a really good thing too. So when they see us, they don't go, yummy humans. They go, bunch of humans again. So our bears in our valley are what we would call very people habituated. They're very used to seeing humans, whether it's on bicycles or on foot or in a car. And because we allow no hunting at all through our Vancouver through Pemberton corridor, what we call the Sea to Sky Highway, the bears have no reason to fear us. So if we see a bear, generally they'll go, oh yeah, a bunch of humans in a car, and they just go back to doing what they're doing, which is what we want, because personally I'd rather see a bear going about its daily activities than one riding a bicycle and juggling. Although that would be impressive. Now that I think about that. So none of our bears are from Russia.
Good to know.
Which is a good thing. So our first stop is the Cheakamus Valley. It's a very unique valley, and I'll explain once we get into it. But as you guys will have seen, as you drive this highway up from Vancouver, there's lots of valleys that go east and west off of the highway. And all of those valleys go high up into our mountains. And that allows us really easy access to wildlife. So we can drive 12 minutes by vehicle, and we're literally in wildlife. There's no houses, no industrial, anything like that, and that works very much to our advantage. So I'm just going to take a left right up here, and this will get us into the valley. So most of our valleys are what we call Forest Service Roads. We abbreviate it to FSRs. So Forest Service Roads are roads that have been put in by logging companies many, many years ago when they logged this area. So what we're going to see here is a second growth forest that we're in, and that's okay. That's the Cheakamus River just below us on the right, by the way. So it's that beautiful green color because it gets fed directly from the Cheakamus Glacier.
Wow.
And it's the minerals that come off of the glacier that give the water that color. So as we drive along, I'm going to pull up just around the corner up ahead because I want to explain something about the forest and why we've had good success with the bears up this valley here. And a mountain biker, just in case you've never seen one before. Although that would be tough in Whistler not to see one of them. We have lots of mountain bikers in Whistler.
So we've seen lots of trees which are, all intents and purposes, kind of dead or fallen as we've driven the past week. We see quite a few of them.
Yes.
And is that a normal occurrence? Is that just part of the I don't know?
Depending where you were in BC, that's either because of pine beetle damage,
Right.
and that's caused a lot of devastation to certain areas of our forests. And so if you saw huge swaths where the trees all look fairly red, burnt almost,
Yeah.
that's pine beetle damage. In our coastal range, which is where we are right now, very little pine trees, so we see very little pine damage. But as you go north into parts of what we call the interior of our province, lots of pine forests. Because right here, we've got cedar, we've got Douglas fir, we have spruce, hemlock, we have a whole bunch of different tree types, just no pine. So we have the odd pine. Now I stopped here for a moment because what you're looking at on the right is what this forest used to look like. So, it's really thick canopy, not a lot of sunlight filters down through it. So there's not a lot of green growing down in there. And so what they've started doing, because of all the concerns about forest fires, is if we look left, they've started thinning the forest. And that's because two things: they want to get rid of all of that dead fuel that's lying down below us and open it up so if there is a fire, A, it doesn't burn as intensely, and B, it's a lot easier to put out because of that. So the good news is bears do not like this, nothing to eat. Bears love this, lots to eat. So they've started thinning this 4 years ago, and as we go up this road, you'll see that growth, the vegetation, gets a lot thicker. And the bears really like that. Lots of fresh vegetation to eat. So our bears, by the way, they are omnivores, so they do eat meat as well as vegetation.
And there's one on the right over there.
You see a bear there?
Yeah, just behind the trees.
Okay, let's have a look.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, let's back up and have a look. It wouldn't be surprising.
See the group of trees there?
Oh,
You
yeah.
see it?
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm just gonna go back. Just
So-
on the right there, that
Yeah.
black. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there he goes.
is. Yeah,
He was moving.
there he goes.
Oh, wow. Good spot.
very good spot. Pip, I am
Eagle eyes.
impressed.
Look at you.
Eagle eyes
Brilliant.
indeed.
Wow.
And let's just see where he's going. So he's just I love how they go through the forest, right? They don't walk around everything, they just walk over it and right into it. So let's see, just gonna back up here, see if we can follow them. Often they'll come closer to the road. You guys still see him?
Yep.
I had to take my eyes off the road. Oh, there he is, okay, yeah. So let's just see, so he's walking pretty good. Oh, no, he's coming this way, that's a good sign. Like to see him up closer to us.
Are you okay if I just undo my belt for a moment?
You betcha, yeah. That was an awesome eye, Pip. What caught it was the movement. There he
Yeah,
is,
it was. I was just looking through the trees and saw something very dark, and then it moved. I went, oh, okay.
So he's just below us and he's slowly working this way. Here comes a biker.
There he is.
There he is, yeah. And the biker just goes right by him. Oh, look at this, eh? He's coming right up. Yeah, I'll keep backing up here, guys, so we can hopefully get a better. Oh, look at this.
Wow.
That's better. Now, if you like, you can put your window down. That might give you a better view. I'm just going to go back so we can keep our eye on him. So he's looking nice and healthy. So he's about a 5-year-old bear. So he's got a good size to him. His coat's looking nice and healthy. I'm amazed he's on this side of the road. So there's not a lot to eat down there. Unless he's looking just for insects. And then they'll look for dead, rotting stumps. So he'll sniff and smell. So he's using his nose right now. Oh, he's got a tag in his ear. He's been a bad boy. Oh yeah. You see that tag in his right ear? The conservation officers will put that in bears that have been bad. So depending on the color, and I think it's white. See if we can get a better look. Yeah, it's white. So white is a first strike, so to speak. You know. So what he's done is he's been caught breaking in to eat human garbage.
I see.
So he's sniffing right now. He's looking for insects. And if you can find an old stump. Oh, there we go now.
It's just
There it
come
is.
up
Okay,
slightly.
we'll just kind of go ahead slightly. Everyone see him there?
Yeah.
What's a yellow tag? I take that back. Yellow tag is 2 strikes.
Oh,
There's 3 colors, white, yellow, and red, and I'll explain them in a moment. So he's getting nice and close there. Yeah, which is good. She won't even know it's there. I love it. Oh, this is going over behind us, okay. I'll back up in a moment here. Just run over our hiker. Oh, he's right there. He's doing a pretty good time. Get him back so we can not have to break our necks to view him. Where is he now? Oh, there he is. So we gotta go a little more. I'm hoping we'll see him tear into a rotting stump because they love insects. Insects are very high in protein for them. So that's ants, termites, grub like that. And they find a good spot for insects, watch the dirt fly, because they are powerful diggers. I'm just going to keep going backwards here and kind of track them for a bit. You guys see him okay in the back there, Sam? Yeah, good. Where'd he go? Oh, anyone see him? Oh, there he is. Oh, he's gone a little further away from us. Well, he's being a 5-year-old, he's not full grown yet. So yeah, he's got a lot of growing still to do. So, because they get big, they get up to 300 kilograms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're big when you see those bears. So, they don't really start getting, full size until they get, 8, 9, 10 years. Where they get, really big, and you'll look at them and go, oh my gosh, that bear is massive. So, this guy, we're just kind of getting in the trees here. But he's still just crawling along. Well, we would call a grizzly bear a brown bear. Okay. That's what we call them. And let's just see if we can spy him again here. He's just down through those trees.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's over our shoulder there. So, if someone comes along the bike path, they're going to be in for a little surprise. But, what's interesting is the bears, they won't care, right? He's on a mission right now. He's looking for insects. He's not interested in the greenery. So he wants the protein. And that's what's going to allow him to grow faster than eating vegetation. Most of the bears we see will spend their time eating the vegetation. So where do we go there? Anyone see him? Is he over? Always way over our shoulder, eh? Don't know. Let's see if we can. Is he moving towards the river, or is he slowly coming our way?
Maybe towards the river lost.
Okay, we'll back up a bit and see if we can cache him. Normally that's pretty steep down to the river, so I don't think he's going to go there. See if we can get a better view over on this side here. See if we can pick him up again. If not, if we lose him, we'll keep going. See if we might get a better view just coming up here. Yeah, it's getting a little thicker. It's amazing how well they blend in, isn't it? I think we might have lost them.
Still fairly impressive considering how much time probably.
Well, that's what we like. This, as they say, it's a good time. You guys pick a good time. It's cool. The bears are out. Eating's good right now. Let's just see if we can spy them through those leaves. Yeah, no, he's disappeared on us there. Okay, well that is quite how you spot a bear. Kudos to Pep, that was phenomenal.
That's it, I'm done now.
Yeah, I would not have seen him. I was already looking past, so good on you. That's my problem. I sometimes have to look at the road. But that's exactly how you spot them. It'll be that little bit of movement, and then your eyes, you'll zero in, and sure enough, there's a bear. So we should see more as we travel along this Forest Service road. It does lead to a very beautiful lake. We're not going to go that far because we want to stay within the area that the bears are eating. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So in April, when the bears come out of their dens, right? So they've been sleeping for 5 months. They come out of their dens early April, and they want to start eating. If they're higher up in elevation, so say around Whistler, the town of Whistler, there's still a lot of snow around. And so because of that, there's nothing for the bears to eat if there's snow on the ground. So what they'll do is they'll move very low down in the valleys. So they'll go quite a bit, 300-400 meters lower than Whistler to get to where that fresh vegetation is just starting to grow. And then as we go from May, June, July, August, that vegetation slowly starts climbing up the mountains, and the bears follow that vegetation up. And so for them, they're constantly wanting to eat fresh vegetation, much as we would. A fresh salad tastes a lot better than one that's 3 weeks old. And so that's why it's unusual to see that bear a little lower down like that, because the fresher vegetation is higher up, and that's generally where we're seeing the bears at this time. But they like to wander around, and that's exactly what that guy was doing. So we'll keep our eyes open as we continue to drive along, because we will see more bears. There's lots out here. They're playing hide, and we just have to seek. Our bears, by the way, in Whistler, they're 95% vegetation, 5% meat. That 5% will be mice, moles, chipmunks, squirrels, rabbits, deer. We'll definitely take down a deer.
Really?
Oh, you bet. Yeah, they're fast bears. You'd be surprised. They can run 50 kph.
Wow.
And they can sustain that. And when you see them, you think, especially the big ones, you think, oh my God, lumbering, massive fat. Amazing how fast they can run through a forest and how agile they are. So, for them to, if a deer happens to come a little closer than it should, that bear will definitely jump on it and take it. Bears also, by the way, are very good at taking over the carcass from another predator. So let's say a mountain lion has killed something of some substance, or a pack of wolves, or a pack of coyotes. That bear will happily move in and take that carcass over, because that's good protein for them. So they've got no problem if that carcass is a couple of days old. Mountain lions often will make a kill, and then they let it sit for a couple of days to kind of soften, so to speak, and then they'll jump in and they'll start eating it. But if the bear smells it and he goes after that carcass, he'll just chase the mountain lion away, and the mountain lion won't be able to do anything about it. That's just the way it is. The survival of the biggest sometimes. So a normal black bear would eat 80% vegetation and 20% meat, but most of that difference is because of salmon, fish. And so because of where we live with our high elevation, we don't have any salmon streams around Whistler. Squamish has lots. Lillooet has a very big salmon river called the Thompson. And so grizzly bears will walk from Squamish through Whistler to get up to Lillooet and vice versa because of those big salmon streams. So here they eat more vegetation, and that's, you know, just because we don't have that fish available for them. Our lakes have lots of fish, but they're too deep for the bears to get to. Bears are very good swimmers, by the way. As a matter of fact, we have a little river. It's called the River of Golden Dreams, and it goes from Alta Lake to Green Lake. And I was paddling it 4 days ago, and it's narrow. It's not a big river. It's, you know, maybe 3-4 meters across. And I came around a corner on my stand-up paddleboard, and swimming up the river right towards me was a big black bear.
Wow.
Yeah, that was very cool. So, of course, you know, being on a paddleboard, I thought, okay, we will just kind of move over to the far side of the river. And he swam up beside us, climbed out of the river, because there happened to be a nice berry bush right there. And he started gorging himself on berries. Bears love berries, by the way, particularly blueberries. They love blueberries. And yeah, he put on a very nice show for us, all about, you know, 2 meters away. As he, you know, he was more focused on eating these berries. He could care less about us on our paddle boards. And as a matter of fact, one of my friends was from Sedona, USA. He had never seen a bear before. And I said, stay there, I'll get a picture of you with the bear behind you. And he was like, how close is that? I said, don't turn around. Look at the camera. And it was literally, you know, maybe 2 meters, so that was quite fun. He enjoyed that. That was you know, unique for me. I've seen a lot of bears, but that's the first time I saw one swimming up this river towards me. So they're very good swimmers. Now bears need to eat a lot of food. So when they come out of their dens back in April, they've lost, you know, 30% of their body weight. And so they need to not only replace that missing weight, but they also need to start that whole cycle of getting big and fat again, so when they go into their dens this coming November, they're able to survive that 5 months of not eating anything. And so they come out and they're very hungry and they need to eat a lot. Anyone want to guess how many calories a day a bear needs to eat? 10,000? It's a good guess. You need to go higher though. Okay, very close. 20,000. Yeah. So 20,000 calories a day. And when you consider that 95% of that is vegetation, they need to eat a lot, and they need to eat a long time. So they'll eat upwards of 16 hours a day to get all of that calories into their system, so that they can, you know, move forward and, you know, continue to, you know, get bigger and fatter. So 20,000 calories, you can imagine, that's a lot of eating.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, if you're eating that much, you've also got to drink a lot of water, because you need to not only wash it down, you need that water in your stomach so the acids can help process that food and turn it into energy and fat for the bears. So we had a biologist who studied the bears, and he was trying to figure out how much water the bears drink a day. And he couldn't get a good handle on it. But what he did discover is how much they urinate every day. So here's another question for you. How many liters of urine does a bear produce in a day? Dan, what do you think?
No clue.
Don't even want to guess?
10 litres.
10 liters, okay. Well, 10 liters is an awful lot, but it's not enough. So they will produce, on average, 16 liters of urine a day. I don't know about you, I like to think I drink a lot of water, but I bet you I can only do maybe half a liter a day. So I can't imagine how much water they're drinking to get 16 liters of output a day. Well, that's a tremendous amount. So, based on this, we know that bears like areas with lots of water, and they like areas with lots of vegetation. And so, where we look for the bears are areas where there's exactly that: good water, good vegetation. And around here, we've got the river that you guys have seen. We've got we've got lots of creeks and lots of. This is one of my fellow guides here. How's it going?
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up for us. How about you guys?
Thumbs down. Where do you see?
Literally right at the beginning.
Right.
So like as soon as you get past that silver car with the green,
Green wheels.
yeah, green wheels, right there on the right.
Okay.
So we watched him for a fair amount. He got really close to the car, and then he moved back. So he's on your left side. Yeah. So have a look. He's still there. He'll be in that area, and yep, yep. Good luck.
We did the two little loops off the side or whatever. Nothing, like tons of raspberries.
Yeah.
Like we were gonna get them start picking raspberries, but
Well, they're there, as you know. We just need to see them. They're hiding on us.
seat champions.
Yeah, yes, they are.
All right, thanks, Larry.
Good luck, you guys. No surprise he's here. This is where we should be seeing lots of the bears. And it's really funny because, as you saw, that would be an easy bear to have missed.
Yeah.
Just you think, oh, a black shadow, and your eyes look away, and it's really easy to miss them. So you've got to be sharp with your eyesight, and once again, if you see something, just give me a yell. So we're just starting to see certain berries come to fruition right now, in ripeness, I should say. So the bears are really eating right now are what's called huckleberries. And they're small little berries. I'll point out the plants to you because they're all over the place here. And this is what the bears are really enjoying right now. Berries, of course, high in protein, sugars, and lots of fiber. It's a good combination from my perspective. Bears, by the way, are not territorial. So they have an area, habitat, let's say, and that's generally a 50 kilometers radius. And that is where they will live all their lives, in that one area. But they don't care if there's another bear eating 10 meters away. That doesn't bother black bears at all. As long as the food is plentiful, they're happy to have other bears eating in the same area. And that's why we can have so many black bears in BC. 130 to 150,000. Those habitat areas, they're crossing over like crazy. So grizzlies, on the other hand, are very territorial. They don't like other animals bears eating in their area. And so because of that, we only have 16,000 grizzly bears in BC. So way less. And that's because of their ability to not put up with other bears in their area. The only time a grizzly won't care is if they salmon spawning. Rivers are just filled with salmon, and the bears will they're literally just fishing out lots and lots. Hello, Antoine. How's it going?
Good, yeah?
Good. Yeah.
Nice.
Any luck yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, eh? Yeah, we had a good viewing right out of the gate. There was a black bear, about a 5-year-old, down by the silver car with the green wheels.
Yeah.
You know, at the very beginning.
Oh, you saw it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's still there,
Okay.
and he was on the left side of the road. So left as you drive down.
Okay.
So this side.
Okay, big win.
Yeah, he's very close in the old wooded forest where there's not a lot of greenery. He's looking
Okay.
for insects.
Awesome.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. See you guys. Yeah, we've been lucky so far.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? They're going to really hate it when we see more. And that's, sometimes that's just how it goes. You see one and then you don't. And they move around, because that's what they do. They like to take their time and sniff things out. I'm trying to find you a huckleberry bush that the bears haven't already gotten to, because all the ones I've seen, the berries are gone on them. So I'll point them out to you when I find them.
Is there any competition for dens?
No, and that's a good question. Let's talk about their dens actually, because a lot of people think that bears live in, they'll den in a cave or something like that. And the problem with that is that the caves are too big. They allow too much cold air in. And that cold air, of course, will not allow a bear to have a nice, comfortable winter sleep. So what bears will do is they'll excavate a den. And what they look for is they'll look for a slope. So say something like where this 4K marker is just up ahead on the left. A slope like that. And they'll look for a big tree. Because that big tree will have a whole big, thick bed of roots underneath it. And they'll excavate in underneath that bed of roots, so that roots becomes the ceiling of their den, and that way there's no chance of it caving in on them or falling on top of them while they're sleeping for 5 months. And so they'll make a small opening, just big enough that they can squeeze in, and then they'll excavate behind that small opening an area that's big enough for them to move about in, but it's not big. And the reason why is they want it small and tight, so it helps trap their body heat. So they end up with a very warm den to sleep in. And of course, if you have a big opening or a big cave, it's just going to be too darn cold for the bears. When they're sleeping, they can't generate enough energy to heat something. See the little rabbit there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice tasty treat for a bear. A little rabbit like that. So for the bears, they'll find these dens, they'll make it. If it's a pregnant bear, she will make the a den a little bit bigger, because she has to make room for her cubs. So when she delivers her cubs in February, which is in pretty much the middle of denning season, she wakes up, cleans the cubs up, and then tucks them in around her so that they can take advantage of her body weight and stay nice and warm. Because the cubs are born with a little bit of hair, but they don't have the fur coat yet that we see on bears when we view them in the wild. So they're quite defenseless at that age. They're very small. They're born 2 to 5 kilograms. They can't see yet, much like a cat. The kittens are born without their eyesight in place. And so what the bears, of course, will do, as I mentioned, is just tuck them nice and close up underneath them to stay nice and warm. And then they'll leave that den come April, but they'll go back and reuse the same one when November rolls around.
Right.
And so they'll constantly reuse that same den, but they only use it for the winter sleep. Once they're up and moving, they just sleep wherever they find themselves. They won't go back to that den. Let's just have a look here and see. Lots of berry bushes in there, so just taking a look to see if we can spot any movement.
You get a lot of moose around here.
North of us.
North.
But yeah, the odd time we'll get a moose down in town. But generally they don't, they don't come this far into our area. So if you drive north, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, there's a valley called Sioux Valley, and that will get moose.
The bears will hunt that, right?
No, moose are really big, very big. A bear, a big, full-grown, take on a moose, but a young one like that guy, no. Yeah, the moose are just too big for them.
So how many grizzly bears or brown bears are around here? Like, not a lot, or?
Not a lot, yeah. So generally, when we see a grizzly bear, and I've seen this year so far 8 to 10, separate sightings. That's because they're just using Whistler as a transit point. So they're going from, let's say Lillooet to Squamish or vice versa. So they'll, as they walk through their that transition point, you'll see them for a couple of days, and then they move on and they continue going. So, which is, in my mind, a good thing, because grizzly bears are very unpredictable, and they're just mean, and angry. And they don't see humans as a threat, but they certainly get pissed off at humans easy, and so that's an issue. Now these berries here, by the way, just out our window, you can see they're just starting to turn red. Those are salmon berries. They look like raspberries, but they're not, and they're not quite ripe yet, so they're just starting to turn color. In about a week's time, if we continue to get this warm sunshine, those will become very desirable to the bears. So when we come back in a week's time, it won't be unusual to see bears in those bushes there just gorging away on those big salmon berries. So, an interesting part about bears and their denning, since we're talking about that, and I'm going to back up, so I'm going to go back to last fall. So, the bears have been eating last year, April, May, June, July, August. They're slowly moving up higher and higher in elevation to keep with the growth of the new vegetation. And in Whistler, we'll start getting snow on our peaks come mid-September. So there'll be a snow, it'll melt. But as we get into October now, that snow on the very high peaks is starting to stick. And as we move through October, that snow line starts creeping down lower and lower. And that, of course, then forces the bears back down low into our valley. By the time we roll into November, we're now starting to get snowfall in the village of Whistler. It'll snow, it'll melt, snow melt, and then by the time we get to the middle of November, we're generally starting to see snow stick to the valley bottom. And it's at that time that the bears start thinking, okay, I've got to get ready to go back into my den. So what they'll do before they go back in their den is they change completely their eating. So it's all been vegetation and a little bit of meat, protein, and then 10 days before they go back in the den, they start eating a lot of grit. And grit is made up of dirt, dead branches, twigs, dead leaves, a fur or hair from an old carcass. And what they're doing is they're creating a 22 centimeter long plug in their bowel. And that plug becomes solid so that when they go into their dens, they're no longer able to relieve themselves. And that ensures a clean den for them to sleep in, because they're no longer able to defecate or urinate in their dens. This is of course very important for a pregnant bear who's about to give birth to her cubs in February. Once again, that clean den is really important for them. So they go through the winter, they don't eat anything. They sleep for roughly 5 months, and then come April, time to get out of the den. The snow is finally stopped, the warm weather's coming, and the snow is melting. So the bears will come out of their dens, and as you can imagine, they're hungry as heck. But they can't eat anything yet. Anyone know why?
They're still blocked up, I don't know.
That's exactly it, yes. They've still got that big block in their bowels. And so before they can start eating anything, they've got to get rid of that plug. And this is where a plant called skunk cabbage comes in. You guys heard of it?
Yep.
It's your national, local symbol plant, isn't it?
It's an interesting plant, yeah. It's not our national plant by any means,
No.
although it very well could be. It grows prolifically everywhere the bears are. And it's called skunk cabbage, by the way, for those that don't know, because when it's in bloom, it's very, smells like a skunk.
Yep.
And it's got a beautiful yellow bloom on it. Just gonna go up a little further here. I was in here last night and I saw a mother and her 3 cubs. So let's see if we get lucky and we get to see a mom and her cubs. So skunk cabbage is a very important plant for the bears. And skunk cabbage is a really unique plant that's got this amazing relationship with the bears. So skunk cabbage is a thermogenetic plant, being that it generates its own heat up to 20 degrees Celsius, its own heat. And the reason why it has this ability to generate such heat is that in February, when it's buried under a meter or 2 of snow, it starts producing this heat to melt the snow above it. And that allows the plant to gain access to sunlight well before. You want to go back? Okay. And thank you for saying something. No? No go? Okay, that's okay. Yeah. I'd rather have a false alarm than miss one. So I don't mind false alarms. They're a good thing. So this skunk cabbage melts the snow above it. It gains early access to the sunlight. This allows it to start growing way sooner than any other vegetation around it. And of course, by the time April rolls around, the skunk cabbage is in full bloom. That's exactly when the bears come out of their dens. And the reason why it's in full bloom is that it's easy for the bears to smell, it's easy for the bears to track down, and it just so happens that skunk cabbage is a natural laxative. So for the bears, they can eat nothing but skunk cabbage when they come out of the dens, and they'll eat it massively because that laxative aspect of the cabbage begins to work, and eventually, whoosh, out poops that big 22 centimeter plug, and the bears can now finally start eating it. And so in return for this relationship with the bears, the plant gains a very wide spread of its seed, because of course the bears poop like mad once they're able to get that plug out, and so they help spread the plant seed around even more, so it just grows prolifically anywhere there's wet. And it's really quite funny in the stages where this plant is producing all of this heat at night. The small mice and moles love it because they'll climb into the leaves and get a nice toasty sleep for that evening because of the heat that the plant produces. And it produces such a strong heat, if you were to stick your finger into the base of the plant, you would feel that heat. Come on, you bears. I know they're out here. Okay guys, I'm going to turn around. I'm kind of getting out of the area that we normally see the bears. At this stage of the month. Forest up ahead.
And how far have we come?
Kilometers? We have driven almost 6 kilometers up this road. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we'll slowly, now we'll drive back, and often we'll see, we won't see the bears on the drive up, but we'll see them on the drive down. And it's almost like the bears go, oh good, they've gone past us, we can now come out, and coast is clear kind of routine. So we'll keep our eyes peeled here. Let's see if we can't find us some more bears. So, right now is mating season, and the mating season runs from late June into early August. And so the females are looking for the big strong males, and the big strong males are trying to search out the females. And of course the males will fight over the right to mate with a female. It's generally, the fights are fairly short, although we did have a big bear fight up here 2 nights ago. 2 bears were fighting over a female, and one of the tour groups got to see it. Yeah, so they videotaped it, and I was lucky to see the videotape, and it was very impressive. 2 big males going at it over who was going to get the right to this female. But it was a strong, aggressive fight. And of course, generally happens the bigger bear won, and that allowed the loser, unfortunately, to skulk away, giving that one male the right to mate. Now, what's interesting with bears, their whole fertilization, gestation is quite a bit different than a human's. So the females will mate with as many males as they can, and there's a reason for this, and I'll explain it in a moment. So they'll go out, they'll mate with as many males, and what happens is that the egg of the female doesn't get fertilized until October, even though the mating takes place right now. And that's so the females can then give birth in February to their cubs, so they've got a very short gestation time. And when you see a mother and her cubs, if you pay attention, you'll notice that the cubs are often different colors. So it might be a black bear, might be a black bear with a white star on its chest. It might be a cinnamon colored bear, that's a reddish brown color, that's a black bear. It might be it's almost a jet blue, the black is so deep. And what this is indicating is that each one of those cubs had a different father. So for the mother, she can give birth up to 6 cubs in a litter. On average, 2 to 3 cubs. But each one of her 6 cubs could be a different color, stating that each one of those cubs had a different father. And that, of course, helps keep that DNA pool both broad and healthy, and that's why we have so many darn black bears in BC, because the females are able to produce A, strong litters, and B, from numerous fathers. And what's interesting is that the males have nothing to do with the raising of the cubs. Once they are mated, the male disappears, never to be seen again. And the male often, generally, does not even recognize his own cubs. So if they were to run into each other, a year and a half down the road, that male would not know that that was his cubs. So the female does all of the raising of the cubs. The females, when they're with cubs, cannot go into heat, so they're not able to mate while they have cubs with them. And the females generally hang on to their cubs for 18 to 22 months. She gets rid of the males after 1 year. I guess they just become too much of a bother, and she says, that's it, you're out of the house. But she keeps the females cubs for 2 years. And so that allows her to better protect the female cubs. She gets more time to spend teaching them about survival and where to eat, and where the good eating is. Bears, by the way, have an amazing memory for remembering where all the good food is. And that's not just a good memory from this year, that's all the previous years too. So they'll know, in April or May, there was really good eating over here, right? And if it's no good, then they'll think, okay, where else was it good eating? And they'll use their memory to guide them as to where all those good eating spots are. And this is information that the mother will pass on to her female cubs. Something the young males, unfortunately, don't get to take advantage of. So the young males, they get it pretty tough out of the gate, unfortunately. Because there's a lot of predators that would love to kill a young male. So as you can imagine, mom kicks this young guy out of the house after a year, and he's like, holy cow, what do I do? Where do I go? And meanwhile, there's grizzlies that'll kill them. There's big black males that will kill them. There is wolves, mountain lions, otherwise known as cougars, and packs of coyotes that'll gladly kill a young male for a nice meal. And so that makes it really tough on the poor guys. So if we see a young male, often, they'll be very, very skittish. They'll see us and they'll immediately run because, they're still trying to decipher who is a major threat to them. They're still trying to get that figured out. Of course, as they gain weight and get bigger and stronger, they then realize that in fact there's very few animals they need to worry about. But when they're that young male, he's 2 years old, that's a real scary time for him.
So at that age, are they like smaller than mountain lions then?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, then a full-grown mountain lion, you bet. Yeah. So black bears get big, as I commented, up to 300 kilograms. That's a big bear. But it takes them a while to gain that size. That's a few years down the road before they get that big. But once they get to like the size that male we saw earlier, he would be able to defend himself at that stage against a mountain lion. So mountain lions are big, they're tough, but that bear's got the advantage of weight, and certainly he'll be able to defend himself against a mountain lion. A pack of wolves would still try and take him on at that size. Another couple of years they won't bother. We do have wolves. Wolves don't like humans, so they stay away from us, which is a good thing. So we see very few of them. Much like mountain lions are also, there's lots around. They're very stealthy, and they don't like to be seen. So you could be walking along in the forest, la-dee-dee, look at this, what a beautiful night, and there could be a mountain lion following you, and you would never know it. They're just that quiet, they're that stealthy, and they don't want you to see them, unless, that is, they want you to see them, and sometimes that's because of curiosity. So I should say, an interesting situation with the cougar, and this took place down on the north shore of Vancouver. I was riding my mountain bike with a friend of mine, and the trail went down, leveled out, and then there was a big climb on the other side. And as we went down, the slope to where it kind of leveled out before the climb, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a mountain lion. And I yelled to my friend who was riding behind me, "Mountain lion!" And he went by and saw it. And so, of course, we kept pedaling. But it's tough to pedal fast when you're going up a steep hill. And this mountain lion came out and started following us. And he stayed behind us the whole time up the climb. It was quite funny, because he was just pacing us, and he followed us for about 15 minutes. That's how long it took us to climb up this hill. And then once it leveled out and we could get a little more speed, he gave up. But I think truly what he was really interested in was what type of animal has round legs. I swear he couldn't figure it out. And so he was following us like, what the heck am I seeing? And so curiosity, right, brought him out to see.
Been eating those funny berries or something.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Or too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were fermenting on him. But yeah, at no time did he threaten us at all. But I think just very, very curious. What the heck is going on there? So that's about the only time you'll see a mountain lion. And they get big too. They're big and powerful.
What's in the mountain lion weigh?
A fully grown, big male. They're probably about, I would say, let's see here, I gotta convert this now. I still think sometimes in pounds, even though I've been talking kilograms for years. So we're about, maybe 120 kilos.
Ah.
Yeah, so good size. And they're big and strong and powerful. They could easily take down a human adult, although they're not interested in eating us. We tend to put up too much of a fight for them, and they would like to get easier prey. Certainly, a young child certainly prey for a mountain lion, so you've got to be careful with those. Young kids out in the wilderness. Vancouver Island, for example, has a very large mountain lion population because there's a tremendous amount of deer in the Vancouver Island, and mountain lions, of course, love deer. It's a good source of their food, and so because of that, we've had a few attacks on Vancouver Island from mountain lions, both against smaller adults and also youth.
So if you were out hiking, what would you say out of those animals would be your biggest threat, should I say? A mountain lion or bear or...
The only one that I worry about is the grizzly bear. Yeah. Black bears, I've had many run-ins with them over the years in all sorts of different places and areas, and only one has ever acted quite aggressively towards me. But grizzlies, they're just so unpredictable, and they're a lot bigger than a black bear. So black bears are 300 kilos. A grizzly, 450 kilos, and that's a big bear. And they just, they could see me one day and go, a human, not give a care. They see you the next day, they don't like the shirt I'm wearing, and they'll attack me. So with grizzlies, I give them a lot of space, a lot of respect. If I'm hiking or biking in grizzly territory, I'll always carry bear bangers and bear spray. That way it gives me 2 lines of defense against a grizzly bear. And but around here, I don't carry bear spray or anything like that. But we haven't had a black bear attack in our valley in well over 100 years. So it's very unusual for that to happen.
People camp out here.
Yep. Yeah, so this is what we would call crown land. So it's owned by the government. And you're allowed to use crown land, as you wish. You can't chop trees down or anything like that. But for the ability to camp out overnight, nice clearing down there, you want to camp there, you can do that. Just of course, they ask that you take very good care of the area that you're in, and that no fires right now. There's a fire ban in place.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these people that you see camping in the area, they're just taking advantage of, and I don't blame them, not having to pay for camping.
Yeah.
And there's some really nice areas that they can go to. bear, right? Let's say you're out in the woods, you're hiking along, you come around a corner, and there's a bear. And that's not an unusual thing, because bears share the same hearing capabilities as we have. And I don't particularly think our hearing is really good, because we sure seem to be surprising the bears an awful lot. So you come around a corner, there's a bear, he's just as surprised to see you as you are to see the bear. And so they'll both come to a stop, you'll both look at each other. And so what you want to do is immediately put your hands up in the air. And that's not to surrender, that's to make yourself look better. So if you've got a backpack, you would hold that backpack above your head. If you have a jacket, you'd hold the jacket above your head. If I'm on my mountain bike, I'll hold the bike above my head. Anything I can do to make myself a lot bigger. And often that's enough to make that black bear go, ooh, okay, this human's a lot bigger than I thought. I'm going to go in another direction. And of course, he'll wander off and leave you alone. But sometimes, the bears will. Now this is where we were, by the way, when we saw that previous bear. And he may have moved to the right side. They do move around. So let's just keep our eyes open, see if we can spot this guy again. Because he was healthy. And he's certainly in this area. If a bear thinks that you're too close, it's concerned you're in its space, it will paw the ground, it'll grunt, it'll snort, it'll huff, and that's the bear saying you're not, you're too close. So of course you want to start backing up. You should never ever turn your back and run. That's the worst thing you could possibly do, because that will automatically instill the instinct for a bear to attack you, and that's what you don't want. So you always want to look at the bear, keep your hands up, move backwards, go smoothly and quickly. You don't want to yell or scream at the bear, that just gets it excited. You want to talk to it in a calm voice. Just say, hey bear, how's it going? Sorry I'm in your way here, I'm gonna back up. Give me some time, and you'll get lots of space, and everything will be good. And hopefully as you move away, that bear realizes that you're not threatening to it, and so because of that, it will often let you just continue to back up until you get around a corner, and then you'll turn around and run, provided you be careful, because if the bear comes around that corner and you're still running, you want to be aware that you can turn around and face it again if necessary. But often if it gets you, you get around the corner out of sight of it, that gives you a good chance to put a lot of space between you and the bear, and generally at that point everything's good. Sometimes the bear though will do a bluff charge, and that's kind of exciting, because you never know if it's a bluff charge until it comes to a stop. So, but they will do that, particularly if there's cubs involved. She's concerned that you're too close to the cubs, so she'll bluff charge you. So they'll run at you at full speed, and that can be a little disconcerting, having this big bear running at you at 50k. But all of a sudden it'll come to a fast stop, it'll paw the ground, it'll snort, it'll grunt, and that'll make you go, okay, I need to back up a lot faster here. And that's exactly what you should be doing at that point, is backing up nice and fast, and of course being careful not to trip over anything. there is and have been situations where a black bear has attacked a human. It does happen, not often though. It's unusual for this to happen. And let's just see. I'm just seeing if we can spot this guy.
Would that be the same with any other predator you see?
Yes, you never want to turn your back on any predator, whether that's a wolf or a mountain lion, a grizzly. If a black bear does attack you, and as I say, it can happen, although we haven't had one in over 100 years, then what you want to do is fight as aggressively as you can back against it. And what you want to do is put up such a strong fight defense that the black bear gets tired of expending the calories, and he goes, okay, you know what? This isn't worth it. I'm wasting a lot of my time. I'm going to break off the fight. And so you may end up with bites and scratches, claw marks, but the good news is you'll live to tell the tale. So, and you want to, if you need to fight dirty, stick your thumb in its eye. That's what you do, because you're fighting for your life at that point. So put up a good fight, and you'll generally live to tell about it. If it's a grizzly bear, though, on the other hand, you don't want to fight back. That just makes them meaner and angrier, and that's not a good thing. They're already mean and angry enough as it is. So with a grizzly bear, your only defense is you have two options. One, climb a tree, if there's one very, very close by. Or two, play dead. And playing dead is when you fall down, into the fetal position. You want to interlock your fingers over the back of your neck. So that goes back here because you want to protect the back of your neck. Elbows and knees together tight so you protect your internal organs. And the tough part about this defense is laying there waiting for the bear to come up, because you know it's going to bite you and you know it's going to claw you. But it has been proven very successfully that if you don't fight back, the grizzly bear will soon see you as not a threat and will give up that attack generally. Generally because sometimes it might just decide it wants you for dinner, in which case that's a different turn of events, and at that point do whatever the heck you can to survive. Yeah. And if that means running faster than your friend, so be it.
Trip your friend over and just carry on running.
That's allowed. Yeah, all's fair in a foot race when you've got a grizzly behind you. I should tell you, my uncle tells a funny story. Well, funny in hindsight, not at the time. And he was a younger man hiking up in northern BC, so grizzly country, which this is not. And he was by himself. He had a big pack on. He was going out for a couple of nights camping, and he was up in the subalpine. So subalpine being the trees are now, they're way smaller. There's way less of them. They're not as sturdy as what you see down here, because as you go from subalpine to alpine, the trees disappear completely. So in this particular case, he's hiking along a very defined trail through a big thicket of blueberry bushes, And he comes around the corner, and sure enough, there's a grizzly coming down the trail towards him. Except it's very close. It's 3 meters away, roughly. So they both stop. This is where our great hearing comes in, because we continually surprise each other in the woods. And the grizzly stares at him, he stares at the grizzly, and he does what you shouldn't do, which is he turns, drops his pack, and runs. And as he took off down the trail, he looked over his shoulder, and the bear had stopped to sniff his pack, but had quickly then taken chase after him. But that stopping to sniff the pack gave him some valuable time, some seconds. So he's running down the trail, and he realizes this is a foot race he's not going to win. He can hear the bear getting closer. It's slapping the paws on the ground. He can hear its breathing, and he realizes he's in very serious trouble. So he looks madly for anything that might help save him, and he sees a tree. So he beelines for the tree, and the way he told the story to me, he says, when I got to that tree, he said, I think that bear was like half a meter behind me. It was right there. And up the tree he climbs, and they're not like here. They're not big trees in subalpine. And so the bear stands up on hind legs, gets his forepaw on the tree, and it tries to push the tree over. And so he can get the tree swaying, but he can't, luckily, have enough strength to push it over. So after 5 minutes of swaying the tree back and forth, the bear gives up, and he sits at the bottom of the trail, or at the bottom of the tree, and waits for 2 hours. Yeah, so my uncle's sitting in the tree, as you can imagine, very frightened, scared, have a big grizzly sitting at the bottom of the tree waiting for you. And eventually it gets up and it moves on. And my uncle is, not sure if that means that the bear's in the corner and is now waiting for him to climb down the tree, or, right, is he actually gone? So my uncle stays up in the tree for another hour and a half, trying to convince himself that he needs to climb down so that he can get the hell out of there. And eventually that's exactly what he does. He climbs down, gets on the trail, and he takes off down the trail as fast as he can, gets back to the car, and of course drives home. Well, he realizes 2 days later he needs to go back up to get his backpack, because it's got all his camping gear in it, etc. And he does just that. Parks at the trailhead, hikes back up, and as you can imagine, every sound he thinks is the bear. So he's on pins and needles, but eventually he gets to his pack, and it's in pretty good shape. The bear's torn open a couple of pockets on it because he had some energy bars, but otherwise it's intact. So he puts it on his back, turns around, and starts hiking down. And he sees the tree as he's hiking further down that he climbed, and he looks and he realizes, there's no branches on it for the first, 9 meters, or sorry, 9 meters, forgive me, 3 meters. And so as he gets close to it, he goes, I'm going to try and climb the tree. And he takes his pack off. Coyote. Yeah. You guys see that? Yeah. He's just on our left there.
Yeah, there is.
Now they normally travel in packs. So, and coyotes, very, very smart animals. And I'll tell you about them. Let's see if we can spot him. No, it looks like he went over the edge there. I'll tell you about coyotes in a moment, because they're a really interesting animal, even though we're talking about bears and we're looking for bears. I'm just going down here, by the way, because there's been a bear here the last couple of nights at this time slot. So I just want to see if maybe we get lucky and we see this This is the beginning of Brandywine Valley. We're not going to go up Brandywine because it was very good earlier this year. But we haven't seen any bears up it for the last couple of weeks, so we've kind of written it off of our schedule. So I'll just finish up with my uncle. And I'm just keeping my eyes open for some bears here. So my uncle tries to climb the tree and he can't. He tries, 5, 6 different ways of trying to climb it. He can't get half a meter up the tree. And yet, with a little motivation, he had no problem climbing that tree.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And, that's exactly what got him up that tree. But, so he was a very lucky guy.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, very lucky.
No offense to your uncle, so back in those days there wasn't much bear spray or anything like that.
No. Yeah, now there is, of course. And it's something that we carry all the time when we go into grizzly country. I'm just going to go a little further along, just see. But if not, I'm going to turn around quickly and we'll head up the Callahan Valley.
Why are there less grizzlies in Whistler?
What's that?
Why are there less grizzlies?
Why are there less?
Yeah.
Because no salmon streams close to us, and grizzlies really like salmon. That's an important draw for them. And the food that we have, doesn't appeal to them as much. So as we've gotten a lot better with securing our waste, our garbage, we've taken down a lot of the attractants that used to attract grizzlies and black bears. So used to be that a lot of homes in the valley that have apple trees, that have pear trees, cherry trees, those have all been chopped down, and you're not allowed to have any fruit trees anymore in your yards because those attract bears. And same with, you can't put out bird feeders with bird seed in it because that attracts bears. And all of our garbage now is all secured under a lock and key so that we can ensure that the bears can't get into it. And
because you have to put your hand in on the lid of a rubbish.
that's right.
Put your hand in and open it.
Yeah.
It clicks up, right?
Yeah, and that's, those are our bear-proof bins. And it's quite funny, if you look at them now, they're all on big, heavy concrete pads, and the bins are bolted into those big concrete pads. Because the bears figured out when we first started using them that if you push the bins over, that lid would flip up sometimes. And so because of that, that was their way of getting in there. So we've had to fix that. Bears are pretty smart, actually, when it comes to getting human garbage waste. So in answer to your question, now there's a lot of those attractants that we used to have for grizzlies are no longer there, and so they'd just rather pass right through and keep going where the food is better from their perspective. So if you get north of us, north of Pemberton, definitely grizzlies up in that area, the southern Chilcotins. These are areas that we'll often go to, ride our bikes, hike, and those areas I would definitely carry bear spray and bear bangers with me. That's just a good thing. Now, I'm going to bring this conversation a little bit full circle. We saw that bear with the yellow tag in its ear, and I never got a chance to finish telling you guys what the heck that means. So a white tag, that's strike one. So that bear's been caught breaking into a secure facility to get at human garbage. A yellow tag is a strike 2. So now it's been caught again breaking into a secure facility, or it's been caught getting into garbage within the village, whether that's a restaurant's secure facilities, or it's somehow gotten into an underground gated area. Followed a car in, for example, before the gate could close, and it's been able to get into human garbage. So they'll tranquilize it, they'll tag it. And then what they do is they work very aggressively using bear bangers, and I'll explain that in a moment, to try and retrain the bears not to come into the neighborhoods or into the village of Whistler. If they continue to progress, now perhaps what they're doing is they're approaching people having a picnic, and the bear knows that as they approach those people, they're going to get up and back away, leaving the food for the bear. That's a bad thing, because now they're starting to associate human garbage with humans, and so they're seeing us now as that source of food. And what eventually will happen then is they start breaking into homes, and they start eating the food out of your fridge, and that's a very bad thing, because that can create bad conflict. So a red tag is 3 strikes, and next strike you're out. So out by, I mean, they put that bear down. So we used to relocate them, but what we found is that initially we were moving them 500 kilometers away, but the darn bears would come back 4 or 5 months later,
Where the good food is.
and they've got an amazing sense of memory and direction, that they can find their way back to their territory, their habitat. So we started moving them 750 kilometers away, thinking, oh well, that would be enough then. And sure enough, same thing, those darn bears would still be coming back. So it was proving that that wasn't working. That's not a good solution. And so because of that, they stopped doing it. Now the good news is we maybe put down 1 or 2 bears a year, whereas 20 years ago that was 25 to 30 bears a year were getting put down, just because back then we didn't have the knowledge and education of what we have nowadays in regards to what we're looking for to take care of the bears.
May I ask what bear bangers are?
So a bear banger is a great device, and what it is, it looks like a little miniature shotgun shell. So it's about that tall, about that round in diameter, and you screw it onto, it's like a zip gun. It's got a spring-loaded firing pin, and what it does is that pin hits a charge on the projector, the projectile, I should say, and that shoots that projectile. It'll go 50 meters height, 50 meters distance, and it creates a really loud bang, and that is enough to startle the animal and make it run away. So before it gets close enough that you need to use bear spray, a bear banger is a really good thing to have. It just keeps those bears away before they get close enough to use your bear spray. And bear spray truly is a last resort. That means you are about to be attacked, and so you need to have that bear spray to hopefully get it in the eyes, mouth, ears of the bear, and it's such a strong irritant. It's like a pepper spray except 10 times stronger.
I've read that you don't want to stand downstream as you're spraying it, because it's going to come back on you.
And if you get just a whiff of it as a human, you start to cough uncontrollably. It's that strong. and it's amazing how it can repel a bear. But if you get it on yourself, it's really tough to get off because it's oily. It's designed to stick to fur so that it can't just wipe its paw over its eyes and you'll carry on to attack you. So it's really difficult to get off. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a story about bear spray. Up until last October, myself and a partner, we owned 3 outdoor stores, 2 in Whistler and 1 in Squamish, and we sold a lot of bear spray and bear bangers, that kind of stuff. And we had a group of Japanese men come in to buy some bear spray. And of course, you always want to explain to whoever's buying it how to use it, because there's a lot of things you need to know about it before you go out and have to use it. And they didn't speak English, and I don't speak Japanese, so it was very difficult, more just hand motions trying to explain how you use it. And Japanese men can be very polite, even if they don't understand what you're saying, they'll bow and thank you. And I'm not sure whether they really understood, but that's okay, off they went. And about, I don't know, 8 minutes later, I hear this commotion outside of the store, and I'm like, what the heck? And so I go outside, and I can understand how it happened, because bug spray, bear spray.
Oh,
Alright.
Yep, they thought you put it on to repel the bears.
oh.
And
Wow.
so they had all rolled up their sleeves so the one guy could spray them. And of course, it doesn't come out in little gentle puffs. It's a high pressure stream, and you get a lot out at once. So of course, it just soaked these poor guys in bear spray. And it's miserable stuff. And these poor men, they were, coughing uncontrollably. You can't see anything. Your eyes are watering so much. And about the only thing you can do is go back to the hotel and scrub like mad to, get this stuff off of you. And of course, it gets in your clothes, and it's just, you end up, you pretty much have to throw your clothes away because, good luck, washing to get it out. And so these poor guys, I felt so terrible for them. That was a tough lesson, but I'm sure they never did it again. Yeah, that's a hard lesson. But anyways, the good news is around here you don't need to worry about that. That's just, we're good. The bears are they're used to us, and so you don't have to worry about it around here. As you go north up towards Wells Gray, that's grizzly area, and I would definitely walk with bear spray in that area. Same with
Wells Gray, did you say?
Yes.
I think we passed there. I'm sure we did.
Yeah, I think you would have.
Yeah, we're heading there.
Yeah. Now, I'll point out, by the way, just on the right here, if you look up this slope, you can see quite a defined line between the size of trees. So what that is showing is that this valley we're going through, this whole valley was logged way back in the 1960s. And so that's the original forest that you see, the taller trees. And then what we're going through here, these are all the trees that grew up in the last 60, 70 years is what we're looking at now. So it's come along really well. That's a full forest now beside us.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing. And we're fortunate we get a lot of water, a lot of rain, and that helps all of our plant life grow very quickly. So I'm taking you up here, by the way. This used to be a dirt road, and now they paved it because when the Olympics came in 2010, they built some ski jumping, a biathlon center and the cross-country trails all up at the end of this road. And but it also happens to be recently a good place for bears. So we didn't see any at the beginning of Brandywine, so we'll try it here and see if we can get lucky, because there's always a little bit of luck involved when it comes to bear viewing. Oh, there's a deer right up ahead. You see him on the side of the road there on the left? So he's a young male. He's got some antlers on him. Oh, there he goes. So that's a black-tailed deer. Let's see if we can get close. Hopefully he doesn't run off into the woods, because it looks like he's got antlers on him. Does he? Nope, maybe it's a female. I take that back. I thought I saw that. Yeah, it's a female. No antlers on him. So you can see the black tail. If you go to the other side of North America, they're all white tails on the back of the deer. The black tails tend to be a little bit bigger, stronger than the white tails. And right now he's just loving that, that's called the fireweed that he's eating, that purple plant. Yeah, he's like, that's just nice and tender and tastes pretty darn good. That healthy female, she's doing good. Love the look. Okay, that's good, although I prefer a bear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still pretty cool.
Oh, very cool, you bet. Yeah, it's kind of nice that, I mean, we've done pretty good actually. Seen bear, coyote, deer. So we'll see. Just this last little stretch, the pavement ends just up ahead. And just along here, the last couple of nights, we've had good luck with some bears. So I'll just keep my eyes peeled here. Let's see if we can't spot something. The bears do eat this plant as well, the fireweed. They call it fireweed, by the way, because in August it turns color. So late August into September, it turns a really burnt orange, and you'll see these big fields of it, and it looks like the field's on fire. Hence its name, fireweed. And it is a weed. It grows like crazy, unfortunately. But the animals like it. Just gonna go around this corner. The pavement ends just up ahead because that's where the facilities are for the Olympics. I won't bother going in there because they close it, gate it. But I'll have just a quick look here. There's some nice mountains up there with some very big glaciers on top, by the way. Interesting point, you can see how the glaciers, there's still a lot of white up there, and then you'll see the darker gray. So that dark gray is the actual glacier, that's the glaciated ice, and the white is the still remnants of the winter snow. So that winter snow will generally blanket the glaciers for throughout the summer. This is a little early for the glaciers to be showing, and that's highlighting the fact that we've had quite a warm summer so far.
Yeah.
And of course, if the winter snow can blanket that glacier longer into the fall, then the glacier doesn't recede as much. So the earlier that blanket of snow, that insulation disappears from it, then of course they'll melt a little bit quicker. But our glaciers have been, they haven't been receding that quickly, which is a good thing. They're slowly receding, but it's underlined slowly, which is quite nice.
May I ask, would a big grizzly go after a buffalo or a bison, do you think, it's close enough?
It will if it's a smaller size, you bet. Yeah, full-grown bison though, they're as you may not have seen. I was gonna say as you may have seen, but you probably haven't. They can get pretty big too, and so it's like a big bull moose. The grizzlies, they look at those and go, maybe not.
Is that only wolves then?
Wolves would, pack of wolves, definitely.
Yeah.
They would, because they'll work together as a team to take down a bison or a bull moose. Yeah. I stopped here, by the way, because I show you this log. I know you guys are thinking, a log, how exciting is that? But it's actually really interesting. So when trees fall in the woods, they start to rot, decompose. Eventually, though, they reach a stage of rot where they get filled with insects, and that's when the bears will go after them. And what they'll do is they'll tear it apart, as they've done this log, because they want to get at those insects. That's protein for them. So the ants, the termites, grub, things like that, they'll just eat those things up like crazy by the thousands, because protein, of course, allows that bear to grow bigger and faster than vegetation does. The tree behind it, interestingly, or I should say the log, that's a Douglas fir because of its big thick bark, and it hasn't reached that right stage yet of rot, but one day I'm going to come back and that bark will have been pulled off of that log, because it comes off in big sheets, and the bears will turn it over and it'll just be covered with insects, and they'll just basically lick it like an ice cream cone to get all of those ants and insects into their body. So if you ever see that in the woods, you'll be able to impress your friends and say, I know why it looks like that. So we're going to just have there's a little embankment here. Oh, and I told you I'd show you what skunk cabbage looks like. And I think there's some on this embankment, but what I'm really looking for is we come to this edge here, those on the right. Just take a look down, and we're looking just down at the edge of the forest here. Let's see if we can't see some bears down here, because sometimes they like to be down here. And I'll point out while I'm here some skunk cabbage. So I don't know if you guys can see, but right below us there are those big green leaves. They're starting to rot now.
Yeah.
That's skunk cabbage. And there can be a very prehistoric looking plant, because they can get very big. Do you see that down there? The big leafy plant? It's right down below us here.
Brown, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the big long ones with it, which are going brown on the edges.
That's right, yeah. So that's the skunk cabbage. So it's well past its bloom at this point, and now it's starting to die off. It's done its duty, so to speak, and it'll go back into its non-growth stage, and next year it'll do it all over again. It'll melt the snow and get itself ready for the bears. Just there's lots of water down in there, which is why I'm just often we'll see the bears down there. I just wanted to see if maybe we got a little bit of movement, but I don't see anything. So I'm coming in here, by the way, because not only are there some very rustic toilets, but there's a very nice view of a waterfall. It might be nice to get out and quickly stretch our legs. And and then we'll climb back in and we'll carry on. All right.
Okay.
Yep. Let's I'll get you guys out of there in the back. When you guys climb out, there's a handle here that's helpful, and also one here. Feel free to use them if that makes it easier for you.
Wow.
That's all snow melt.
Right.
And this is a huckleberry. Wasn't that nice of someone to leave that here? Yeah. So these berries are what the bears are eating, and they taste quite nice. If you'd like to try one. Oh, where'd it go? There it went. Oh no! Did you save it? Here we go. You're welcome. So how are they? A little sour? Yeah. Those ones aren't ripe yet. So the ones where we kind of very earlier, they're lower down in elevation. They'll be a little ripe. These ones are a little Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the remnants of our winter snow. Not on the way up. We did see a nice healthy guy in the Chequamas Valley. Yeah. That was fun. But didn't see anything here. Oh, nice. Oh, good. Why? Yeah, no, sometimes they don't want to. Yeah, they're right. No, I think you did the right call. Yeah, you definitely don't want to.
Long exposure on an iPhone.
Oh, nice.
That look good? Long exposure on an iPhone.
That looks awesome.
I take this falls at different times of year.
Oh, okay.
All the time.
Oh, good for you. That's such a beautiful fall. You know, and you're right, early in the spring. I know. Isn't that the truth?
And you usually see a bear on the way up or down.
Generally, yeah.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're just moving a little further up now.
That's what we thought.
Yeah. Oh, always. Yeah. Yeah, we saw a deer on the way up. Yeah. Nice, large female. And, yeah, he was on the right side. Yeah, as we drove up, right side. Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Come on, Dan, what's happening? I'm joking, by the way. You're very happy. very well. And I'd love to do the same for you and your family. Make sure you get that waterfall in there. 1, 2, 3. You're welcome. No, you're very welcome. Okay, shall we get back in?
Yeah.
Let's carry on. I'd love to see if we can't find another bear.
Elusive black bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Very down to you. I was so happy we had seen it.
Oh, good. Well, there's a good chance you might see more. And not just tonight. So you're in town for another 2 days? Yeah, lots of bears around. Are you guys still okay back there? You good?
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's it. I won't be able to see anything.
Yeah. You've used up all your goodwill.
When we were in Jasper, some people we met saw 3 of them around the hotel.
And they saw a
Oh.
moose as well.
And a moose.
Yeah.
Ah, those are quite impressive. A big moose.
Is this your first trip to Canada? Or?
Yeah.
Mm,
It's
lovely.
amazing, isn't it? It's ours as well.
So how long are you guys out here for?
So 2 weeks in total. We've done 3 days in Vancouver, and then drove here. So
Just starting.
yeah, so
Lovely.
we've been 4 days so far.
Have you got an RV or are you just driving?
Just driving.
Oh,
Just
okay,
driving.
cool.
What did you do in Vancouver?
So we went up Grouse Mountain. Highly recommend going up there. It's you can do it by public transport, or you can. We got a taxi there mainly because we were supposed to go on a whale watching tour, but it got cancelled
Oh,
because of the weather. And we were like, it's going to take us a while to get there and in the time, so we got a taxi up there. But there is public transport there, quite easy. They've got a couple of grizzlies up there that were rescued and can't be released, so they keep them as wild bears, but they're fenced in.
Were they out? Did you see them?
Yep, we saw them.
Nice.
So they're 20 years old, so it was their 20th anniversary. 20th birthday.
Yeah,
So,
birthday.
yeah,
Very
so,
good.
We saw the grizzlies up there, and they've got a great raptor show as well with local birds. That was fun. And there's a lumberjack show, which is a lot more entertaining than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it really was. But the views up there are absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, breathtaking.
Straight down over Vancouver. There's a so you know the cable car. They've got a cable car that takes you up to the top of the mountain to Skyrim. So that's well worth doing. We did do whale watching the next day, and that was because.
Did you see anything?
Yeah, we saw an orca.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
So the humpbacks apparently are too far out to sea at the moment. So
Okay.
they're not seeing many of those, but there was an orca who was playing with lobster pots.
Oh, nice.
So we saw him.
Yeah, they're amazing animals. Orcas. Very intelligent too.
Yes. Yeah, he was, because he was playing with the buoys as if they were balls.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was tugging the buoy underwater and then kind of releasing it and chasing it. And there we saw eagle vultures and eagles as well.
And seals.
And sea otters, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Vancouver Aquarium as well. We saw that. Again, that was so my mother came out to Canada a couple of years ago, and she said if you go to Vancouver, go visit the aquarium.
It is. They do a good job with
But it was and I've never seen sea otters actually.
Oh, good.
Before. And there's you can see them kind of swimming in the water. So yeah, that's all we're doing. But yeah, there's a lot to do around Vancouver. We didn't go out to Victoria Island, but you can get a seaplane out to Victoria Island, and that's apparently quite
the Stanley Park is worth it
Oh, yeah.
because that's just
Yeah, we're
lovely.
planning to do that. Yeah.
So
Granville
Frank-
Island.
So the aquarium's
Yeah.
on Stanley Bank. It's
Oh,
at Stanley
right.
Park. So,
Yeah, so we've only got 3 days there as well.
Yeah. That's why we didn't do Victoria Island, because it's a 4-hour